I'll direct your attention back to the stage as we have the four triathletes joining us now. I'll give a brief introduction for each of them. Sitting closest to me is Javier Gomez, five-time ITU world champion, Olympic silver medalist, missed gold by only 11 seconds in London in 2012, and he has his sights set now on the Tokyo Olympics, a real rock star in the sport. Next to Javier is Casper Storns, who won this event last year, the initial MS Amlin World Triathlon Bermuda here. He led a team of Norwegians that did a clean sweep on the podium. Next to Casper is Katie Zafaris. She won the ITU World Series in Abu Dhabi this year and has climbed the rankings one place every year since 2015 when she finished 5th. Currently, she's number 1 in the world rankings and will wear the number 1 swim cap tomorrow for the start of the race. And the woman next to Katie maybe needs no introduction in this room. Flora Duffy is the reigning champion of the MS Amlin World Triathlon Bermuda, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, 3-time Olympian, and an OBE since the last time we saw you in this room. Congratulations, Flora. A round of applause, please, for these 4 athletes who have joined us this afternoon. All right, Javier, we'll start with you. My understanding is that you are preparing for the Olympics in Tokyo, and this is your first ITU World Series this year. How are you feeling physically going into that race, and what are your ultimate goals as it relates to Tokyo?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to be back in ITU racing after a year of being more focused on longer distances. So yeah, this is my first race, my first big race this year, and the goal is to qualify for Tokyo. So yeah, I'll see how it goes, but obviously when you hit the start line, you just, you want to win the race, you want to try to do your best, and it's a great course. My first time here in Bermuda, and I love the course, so hopefully I can have a good one and make some improvements as well for the next races coming up.
Were you more comfortable in this format or Ironman?
Probably in this format, because I've been doing this for a long time, for many years, and these races are really tough, are really competitive, and I believe the best athletes in the world are doing this kind of racing, the best triathletes in the world. So yeah, it's a very tough competition that if you have a bad day, you can can finish 20th or 30th. So it's very tight, it's very competitive, and you cannot make any mistake.
Okay, Katie, let's go to you next. You, of course, won in Abu Dhabi this year. The last time we saw you, though, we felt some heartbreak for you because you had that sprint finish at the end with Vicky Holland, and you finished 3rd. She got the better of you by, it looks like, less than a second, maybe. What are your hopes about this year's race? And Vicky's going to be back, too, of course.
I hope to take some notes from Flora's race last year. I'm not sure if that'll actually happen, but yeah, I think I'm just going to try and race really aggressively, especially hopefully have a good swim, and then really push the bike from the start and make people really work if they want to race with me, and that's kind of my plan right now.
All right, well, let's shift really quickly just to talk about your family, because I understand they're competing in the relay tomorrow, including your husband. And I'm not the smartest person in the sport, but if your husband rides the bike and Flora's on the bike tomorrow, who are you choosing to win that leg of the race tomorrow, your husband or Flora?
Oh, man, I already had some discussion with Flora about this. And just said that Tommy was going to come after her for her, but we figured out that they were actually in different races because my family's doing the sprint. They're not as tough as Flora. But
no, Flora's doing the sprint.
Oh, has this changed?
They dropped out.
Oh,
I had to race Tommy.
Oh, boy, well, I mean, now I have to get back to Tommy and give him my insight. He's not ready.
Well, that'll be a fun element to watch tomorrow. All right, Casper, like Flora, you won here last year. You had to conquer Corkscrew Hill. And we understand, we have a photograph of you and some of your countrymen training for a hill ride, a lot like Corkscrew. I think you were in Sierra Nevada, Spain.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your preparation, especially as it relates to that part of the race course?
Yeah, we have done a race similar session. So we do the corkscrew hill in seconds, how many seconds we did up the hill, and then we do like a bit lower, and then we do it several of times. So yeah, we done it was a 20-minute session. So yeah, we did it several of times to simulate the hill and.
And was this preparation different this year than you did last year, or is it the same?
We did much the same this year to prepare for the course. Yeah.
All right, so I also understand that you were training in high altitude, and you won last year. And I know that Flora lives in Colorado, where they have high altitude. Is this sort of a difference maker, Flora, for how you guys performed in the race last year?
I don't know. I think it definitely does have an impact. I mean, obviously, it's a lot easier to breathe when you come down to sea level. I can speak for myself that it really helped me last year. I was at altitude only for about 3 weeks, or no, 2.5 weeks before this race, and I got a nice little boost, which I think really helped me race well here last year.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about your injured foot. How is it feeling? What sort of timetable are you optimistic about for your return to full-time competition?
Yeah, my foot, I injured it. It was actually bothering me just about this time last year, and I was totally not expecting to be sitting on the sidelines 1 year later. I think everyone here, you get an injury, you're like, okay, no way, this is going to be months of torture. That's sort of what it's turned into. But it's getting there, able to do sort of more and more, and just have to be patient and keep positive. And then when I'll be back racing, I mean, ideally I'd like to be back in July, but I don't want to put a date on it, because then that date might come and you're kind of pulling out of races, and I've done enough of that. So.
And just a word about competing tomorrow in this relay with a young swimmer and a young sailor. I know you've been an advocate for making sure kids are exposed to this sport that you've become so great at. What will it mean to you to compete with them tomorrow?
Yeah, it's really cool that I can race with both Taylor and Mustafa. We're both from 3 different sports, and here we are coming together to compete as a team here in Bermuda. I think we're all really looking forward to it. I haven't done a team relay in years. I don't know if those two have ever even done a triathlon, so I think it'll be pretty fun, and they're both incredible athletes, so it'll be a really neat experience.
All right, great. So Javier, let's come back to you, because one of your countrymen, Mario Mola, is also one of the favorites or people to watch in this race. And you're sitting next to Casper, who will be racing with his Norwegian countrymen. Mm-hmm. In your sport, can having someone from the same country be an asset to you out on the course? Or is it every man for himself?
Yeah, well, it depends on the race and the race situation, but obviously if you can help your countrymen in a given racing situation, then you'll do it. But at the end of the day, it's an individual race as well, and we have a pretty strong team, but we all have our chances to do well in the race, and Mario Fernando Alarza, who's also been on many podiums in the World Series, and myself, hopefully, but then depending how the race unfolds, you can get some tactics going on, but Norwegian team did amazing last year, and it's something really, really, really hard to do at this level of competition, so all my respect for that. But this year's a new year, and see how the race goes.
Okay. So Casper, when you and your fellow countrymen were going into the race last year, did you have a strategy of operating as a team? Was that part of the goal?
Yeah, we always go into the competition and try to be together on the bike, and then we can use our strength, who is the bike, of course, and try to work together. And last year we were trying to do that, and we were actually planning to go together, but I went a bit earlier, and then Gustav and Christian just lay back in the field and relaxed a bit, and then they went for themselves when I had a quite big gap. So, yeah.
I wondered just a little bit about what your expectations were going into the race last year, because we didn't spend a lot of time talking about you as somebody who would finish on the podium, and then of course you got the gold medal.
I didn't expect to win myself, but yeah, it was, my expectation was maybe a top 10, and I was planned to like just stay in a group and save the energy for the bike since I burned myself out for some competition before. But then I just got that gap, and yeah, I just biked away, and yeah.
Well, we'll be watching you closely tomorrow. Katie, as when I introduced you, I mentioned a little bit about this steady climb you've been making in the world rankings. That level of consistency is amazing. What do you attribute it to?
I attribute it a lot to just kind of maturing as an athlete. I started in 2013 and had never really done triathlon before, and have a great coach and a great team surrounding me, and we've just been working consistently over the years, and I haven't tried to do anything drastic to change that, but I just know each year I get better, I get stronger, faster, and because that's been working, we're just going to keep going with that.
Flora, last night at the opening ceremonies, I heard you talk a little bit about your particular strategy for conquering Corkscrew Hill. And it just got me thinking, are other competitors coming to you for advice about our race course because this is where you're from?
Well, I was like, well, what was that strategy for conquering Corkscrew Hill? Please. I don't get too many people asking me about strategy. Everyone comes up to me like, oh, Flora, did you design this course? Was this specifically designed for you with nobody else really in mind? But no,
And what is the answer to that question, Flora?
I'm like, well, might have suggested that would be a great idea, this course.
Okay, so we want to give the journalists in the room an opportunity to ask questions if there are any. I think we have a roving microphone for that purpose. Vicky has it over here. So if you have a question, just get Vicky's attention, and please introduce yourself and your media organization before asking the question. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. Colin Thompson, Royal Rosette, and this question is for the man's defending champion, Casper. This year, a bit different. You're the defending champion. Does that add a bit more pressure to your task?
Yeah, for sure. It is a bigger pressure than last year since no one knew who I was. And yeah, I think this year is going to be a lot harder to like get away on the bike since it is a more like better field on the bike with Javi and Johnny. So it's going to be harder to like go away on the bike and overall a better competition.
And also, speaking about the bike, obviously, that's where you broke away last year. Take us back in that moment when you broke away. You know, what were your thoughts at that point?
I was just thinking, just lay in my TT bar until they catch me and go up the hill on the power I was planning to do. But then I saw I had like 25 seconds on one lap, and then I was thinking, okay, I can't stop now. I just have to continue. But after like 3-4 laps, I was quite feeling it a bit in the legs and maybe wanted to slow down in the hill. But then one of my teammates' dad was standing there with no t-shirt and was waving and saying, "Come on, you can do this." And then I couldn't stop and then just continue. And on the run, I was really just smashed, and I didn't thought I was gonna make to the top 10. But then my coach said, "You have just run 5 seconds slower than Christian and Gustav for the first 5K." And after that, I really couldn't run really.
And finally, what are your general thoughts on the field?
What?
This year? What are your general thoughts on the field this year?
I'm feeling better this year. I'm better trained and feeling overall much better.
Okay, another question in the room?
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
On the field, your competitors. What do you think of the field?
What I think about the field?
Yes.
The field?
Yes. Your rivals.
Yeah, it's a stronger field this year than it was last year for sure. Yeah.
another question over here.
Stephen Wright, Royal Gazette. Katie, what valuable lessons did you say you learned from last year's race?
I would like to have a better swim. That would be the first, the first lesson, and just get out faster and make sure that I'm connected to the front group or the leader of the swim, or maybe even be the leader myself. And then I think what I saw from Flora is just how much commitment she had in those first couple laps, and I think that made a huge difference with the rest of the race. So like we weren't so far behind from the beginning, and then each time she just kept growing and growing the gap. And at the time I was like, oh, we have 10 people, we should be able to chase down Flora, and now I know that's not a smart thing to think. So yeah, just making sure to race assertively just from the get-go. As soon as I'm out of the water and on the bike, just go.
What number were you out of the water last time? Do you remember?
I think it was still top 10 or 10th, around 10th, but there was definitely a gap from the group that Flora was with to me. I wasn't with her when I came out of the water.
And is it fair to say, is it a stronger field this year, despite the absence of Flora?
Yeah, not having Flora is a big impact on the race, but there's quite a few really strong athletes in the race that are going to make it just as hard as last year.
And is it a relief not to have Flora on the start line with you tomorrow?
I don't know if it's a relief. I was so sad because she was so dominant last year, and I would be like, just get closer to that, and now she's not there. So watching her do so well last year is just so motivating and inspirational. So, coming into this race without having her there is kind of feels empty, to be honest.
And wearing the #1 cap, is there any sort of psychological boost at the start of the race, knowing you're the target on your back, as it were?
I think I just try not to focus so much on that. There's definitely the pressure of having the #1, but at the same time, I know my focus has to be more on the particular things, like how I'm going to race the race, what I want to do in each discipline to make sure that in the end, no matter the result, I can be proud of what I did on the course.
And finally, Flora, any sort of strategy tips for the guys this year as the previous winner?
I don't know. I feel like Katie studied my race last year pretty well. She's got all the... my one... I think it's very difficult because the men's race always sort of plays out slightly different to the women's race. I think for their race, having Javi back will definitely play a role, and obviously with Johnny Brownlee as well. Those two at the front of the race really pushing it, which sort of change the dynamic. But for the women's race, I guess my one piece of advice would be for Katie would be to not look back until that last turnaround into transition. That's the end of T1. That's what I thought last year, and that's why I was so committed till then. Then you get a visual to see where everybody is, and you can sort of assess, okay, am I going to just keep going, or am I going to wait for one person?
After how many laps?
After how many laps?
Thank you.
Well, I don't think you did it after 10.
You're like, I think I'm good.
I looked at one and I was like, maybe I have a shot here. We'll see.
The photo on the monitor now is that moment at the finish line last year when Katie was just edged out by Vicky Holland.
Oh.
That moment, maybe she doesn't like to relive.
I thought my arrow cornrows were gonna give me the benefit.
Any other questions here in the room? All right, a couple of stats for you. 15 out of 46 women who are competing tomorrow have medaled in the World Triathlon Series. 7 have won gold. 16 out of 55 men have medaled. 42 gold medals among them altogether. So it is a really competitive field. Javier, Mario, and Johnny are all racing tomorrow as well. Well, with that, I think that is it. Thanks to all of you. A round of applause, please, for our triathletes for joining us today. Flora is going to stick around for a little bit longer if there are some others who'd like some one-on-one time with her. She'll just have a few minutes for that. But otherwise, thank you very much. Please get out to the race course early tomorrow morning for the MS Amblin World Triathlon Bermuda. Thanks very much for joining us.